I hesitate making this video because I don't want to come across as bragging or showing off or anything of that nature. But the reason I am showing you this video is to explain how through creative financing you can purchase a home with very little money down. This is the home that I live in with my family. On Zillow, it's valued at just over $860,000. It's 4,600 square feet, 3-car garage, 6 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms with an office. It's on just a little bit less than an acre of property. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how we were able to get this property with only $10,000 down. My name is Shiloh Lundahl, and you are watching the Improved channel focused on real estate investing. So how was I able to buy a house worth over $860,000 with only $10,000 down? You may want to know, did it need a lot of rehab? Was it a complete mess inside? Well, it wasn't, okay? Let me go ahead and show you some of the pictures of this house. So here's the front. And I'm just going to kind of scroll through some of these pictures just so you get kind of a general idea of this home. So here you see the kitchen. Now this house was built in the 90s, and so you're going to see some things that are dated, but not too long ago. It was built again in the 90s. All right, so you have the master bedroom right here with the master bath, and then the master closet, kids' bedrooms right there. Bathroom upstairs, another bedroom upstairs, the Jack and Jill bathroom. And we have the office right here, a bathroom on the main floor, and here we have the laundry room. This is the basement. So you have a large open area for the basement with a fireplace. One of the bedrooms in the basement with the bathroom. And then you have another bedroom there to the left on that picture. We were able to put the doors on there. This is the back patio of the home. It's really, really nice. Then you have the backyard. So this property is on about really close to an acre. Okay, it's on 0.88 acres. That's what it looks like from the aerial. It's a really nice home. It sits on a nice piece of property in Gilbert, Arizona. So let's take a look at the sales history for this property. So they listed this property, and you got to look at the bottom for the sales history at the beginning. So back in March of 2019, they listed this property for $799,900. So they really put it at the top of the market. However, there were a lot of things that were just not high-end finishes with this house. Like for instance, the paint, it was flat paint rather than glossy or semi-gloss. And so really it takes a lot of the oils from the hands and things like that. And so it just is not a higher end paint. Also, if you look at just the finishes, like in the bathrooms and in the kitchen is dated. It's about, 25, 30 years old. You have the bathrooms, again, they were about 25, 30 years old. So there's just not a lot of things that were really updated with the home. Even though the home is nice and was really nice for 20, 30 years ago, it just has not been updated since. So they put it on the market really kind of swinging for the fences at $800,000, but they didn't receive any offers. So then you see they dropped it $30,000, and then they dropped it another $20,000, and then 2 weeks later they dropped it another $20,000. So now it's on the market for just under $730,000. So at this time I go and I have breakfast with a buddy of mine who's also a vice president of a bank and who's a hard money lender. And as we're just talking about the things that are going on for us, I talk to him about this house that's on the market. And I tell him that I'm really liking this house and that I was thinking about getting it. And he asked me why I don't get it. I'm like, well, it's at a higher price point than I want to get, and so I'm just not exactly sure if I want to spend that. He said, well, look, it fits your family well. and you could afford the house. Why don't you figure out a way to get it? And so I said, okay, well, I'll put in an offer. And if I put in an offer, then I need you to step in and help me get this property. He said, okay. So what happened is, after putting it on the market for the $729 and having it not sell, they dropped it again to $699. And then once more, within just a few weeks, they dropped it to $679. And so I thought, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put in a low offer of $640,000 and see what happens. And so I put in the offer, all cash purchase for $640,000. Now, I didn't have $640,000 in cash, but my buddy did. And so we had created a plan where I was gonna buy this property using hard money, and I was going to rent it out until I could get a loan on it in my name. So we went ahead and put in that offer for $640,000. And surprisingly, they accepted it. So now I'm under contract to buy this property for $640,000. So this is how I was able to do it with only $10,000 down. I didn't actually buy the property for $640,000. I bought the property for what I believed it was worth according to the comparables in the area, which was $750,000. So how did I put in the offer at $640 yet I bought it at $750? Well, if you look at the house, you see that it's going to need some repairs. It's going to need some updating and things of that nature. And so what I did is I included a rehab credit in the purchase. And the rehab credit that I included was for $110,000. So on the purchase contract, it included this rehab credit. So we actually didn't close at $640,000. We closed at $750,000. Now, that may not seem like a big deal, but let me tell you why it was a big deal. Because I was able to come in with $10,000 to pay for the closing costs. My buddy came in and gave me a loan for $640,000. Now, most hard money lenders will not do that for you, but this is somebody who I have a good relationship with. He's lent to me several times on several of my properties, and he knew that I was going to use this property in order to eventually purchase this property. Now, a lot of hard money lenders will not lend to you on a personal residence. And so he actually didn't lend me that money. In fact, he purchased the property. So as he purchased that property for $640,000, we created a lease option for me to purchase this property. So I do a lot of lease options where I sell properties on lease options, but this time I was buying this property on a lease option. So he purchased this property and I rented the property from him with the option to buy it, and we worked it out to where it was basically him getting 11% on the $640,000 that he used in order to buy this property. So now, this is what happened. I moved into the property. My family stayed in California, and I rented out each of the rooms in this large home. And so as I rented out each of the rooms, I was getting about $4,200 in rent for this property. My hard money costs were about $5,800 a month. So I was losing about $1,600 a month in rent. And that lasted about 6 months. So you may want to factor that in into the total amount that I had down. However, I'm not factoring that in, and the reason being is because I had to live somewhere. And so if I wasn't living in this home, I would have had to rent a home somewhere else. And so it was about a $1,600 difference, but I'm just using that as part of my living costs rather than part of the purchase price of this home. In January of 2020, we refinanced this house. Now here's where the importance of putting that $110,000 rehab credit into the sales comes in. So when we closed on the property, it showed a sales for $750,000. When the appraiser came and appraised that property a few months later, he looked at what we bought it for. He looked at the comparables, and he gave us an appraised value of $755,000. Now, if I had bought this property for $640,000, would the appraisal have come in as high? Well, it should, according to the comparables in the area. However, because appraisers are more conservative in nature and don't want to put themselves out there by overvaluing a property and then having the bank look at it and say, how is it that it was sold for $640,000 2 or 3 or 4 months ago, and you're giving it a value of $755,000? What changed? What did they do to fix up the property? So with that $110,000, we are planning on fixing up the property, but I didn't want to have to wait until we had finished with the rehab in order to get this property refinanced. So because the appraised value came in at $755,000, we were able to get a first mortgage for $510,000, which is the upper limit that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will lend on a home before going into the jumbo loans. And then we were able to get a second on the property for $150,000. So altogether, the loan was actually $660,000. And that put our leverage on this property about 85%. So since the time that we closed on the purchase of this property, and because of all of the crazy appreciation that's happened in the last year or so, this property has actually gone up in value about $100,000. So that makes it to where today it's valued at over $860,000, but yet I was able to purchase the property with only $10,000 down. I share with you this video because I wanted you to see that through creativity, you can figure out a way to purchase a home less than market value. Most of the time, people that want to buy a home like this are going to have to come in out of pocket somewhere between $100,000 to $200,000 in order to buy a property like this. That's a lot of money just to have stuck in a home, especially if you have to save all of that money in order to pay for that down payment. So rather than needing to save up years and years to be able to put a down payment of $100,000 or $200,000 on a home like this, I was able to, through creativity, through understanding the loan process, I was able to create what would be that down payment through buying the property below market value, being able to refinance it at market value, and capitalizing on the difference between what I bought it for and what the value is. I hope this video was helpful to you. Again, I don't show this video to brag or to show off in any way. The reason that I show the video is so that you can learn that if you are creative and if you look for deals, you're able to buy deals under market value that you can have appraised at market value, and the difference between the two can help as a down payment. So if you like this video, if you like the content that I've been posting, please go ahead and click the subscribe button, like the video. I'd really appreciate it. And I hope that you guys have a fantastic day and a great year investing in real estate. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.